remember, you don't know everything. Listen to the people around you. Understand that the people around you are as talented as you are, and to engage and draw from the people around you. There's no success from just one person. It's always a team. And I think the other thing is enjoy your failures as well. Learn from them. We all have those failures, and just recognize how and why it happened, and don't be afraid to actually fail again.
So today with Miles Leonard, who has had an incredibly glamorous career working in the music industry and was chairman of Warner and Virgin, Parlophone. But rather than me do the introduction, Miles, could you tell us who are you and how did you get there?
Hi, I'm Miles Leonard. I was chairman of Parlophone Records. I worked there for about 25 years, but I also headed up the Warner label and also Virgin Records as well. I joined the industry, the music industry, as a talent scout in A&R, which stands for Artists and Repertoire. And gradually over the years of my career, moved up through A&R to ending up running some of those companies. Right now, I left the traditional music industry as we knew it, and recently started up a company called Traxx, which is built on blockchain, crypto, selling NFTs, and it's a Web3 tech company offering artists an alternative to the traditional routes to market that they have now.
So I've got tons of questions for you today, and I want to talk about how people watching this, how they would start a career in the music industry and where the opportunity lies and all that kind of stuff. But before we get onto that, can we just talk about Virgin? What made Virgin different as an entrepreneurial channel, talking about business? Obviously, Richard Branson was a trailblazer in this. What was it like working there?
Virgin was incredible, and I think that top down certainly worked with the culture. Branson brought in entrepreneurial people throughout his career. He started in an industry that had been around for decades, but he came in with a whole new thought process, and his learnings came from his experience. And he joined the industry and he wanted to be, an agitator, a maverick in the industry, and he was going to do things different. And I think that because of that, he brought in these exciting and interesting people throughout his career that brought a completely different culture to what Virgin was. They were sort of guerrilla tactic, thinking on their feet at the time. But what they did have was really smart people, and they signed brilliant artists, they had this glorious period with the Pistols and Human League and Culture Club. And so by the time I got in, which is 91, that culture was still there throughout. There was a real can-do, entrepreneurial, maverick sort of process to everything, to marketing artists, to signing artists. It was very maverick. And that continued even to an extent, after Richard left. I think it was about 92, 93, he sold the company to EMI. I don't think it has it to this day, because obviously there's a long tail when that culture suddenly disappears. But it was a very, very exciting company to work for.
And so where would you see the opportunity today for someone watching this that has a talent, whether they be a bedroom DJ, a producer, a remixer, a singer? Where'd you start and where's the opportunity?
I look at the industry when I joined in, it seems very two-dimensional. The barriers that you had to the market were immense. From myself wanting to join a record company, there was this big iron curtain that how do you get through that? And same for artists, how do I get to market? You had to possibly have a manager, to then get in a record deal, to then you had to make the record and then get through radio and media and press before you got to your audience and built your audience. So there was all these gatekeepers all throughout the journey. Now you look at today, I think artists are a lot smarter. You cut away a lot of those gatekeepers to your fan base. You now have a direct narrative if you want it. It's a skill set that actually new artists really have developed of engaging through social media and so on. I think they're a lot more understanding about their copyright and the value of their copyright, the value of their data. So we've seen a real shift in the artist community today. So getting in, you don't need a recording studio to make a record. You don't need to have a full-on production team to make a video. You don't need a record label to release music. There's lots of you don't needs anymore. Now that's not to say you don't need a record label, because I think, what record labels are brilliant at is when you have these sparks, they can magnify it, on a global level and push you out into markets from that strength. It's about when do you now as the artist need that label? Entrepreneurial artists today can get to level 5 far quicker and easily than they probably could in the 90s, 80s, whatever. Because you've got the tools around you that allow you to do it at low cost. I think for any artist starting out now, think about retaining your copyright, think about self-releasing, but it's hard work. It's not it's not flipping up your laptop and then suddenly you gotta, and you still gotta build a team around you as well to do that.
You're involved in a business called Traxx, which is at the cutting edge of the next generation of, not necessarily record label, but a completely disruptive approach to this market. Could you explain what that is and how you got involved in that?
Look, I'd worked, in labels for, as I say, probably about 30 years in total. The paradigm shifted 20 years ago. Web 2.0 and the internet coming in, and which just seems a million miles away. Forgetting about trying to sell vinyl and CDs a decade before that. We saw this huge shift, and over the last sort of 5 years, I started to realize that perhaps maybe I've achieved everything that I wanted to achieve at Parlophone and at Warner's and at that space. And actually, what I was starting to feel that I was in this lovely walled garden where it was all manicured and it was perfect. But over the fence, there was an adventure playground full of kids with a ghetto blaster playing music. And that was where we are now. That's blockchain, that's crypto, that's Web3, that's NFTs. And I started to sort of look at it. And unfortunately, there was a friend of mine who worked in the industry, Tommy D, who was a songwriter, producer, and was an artist in his own right back in the day, and said, look, come in and join us on this new journey where we're going to start up, essentially what's going to be a marketplace for NFTs. Now, an NFT is a non-fungible token. Essentially, an NFT can be anything you want it to be. So it's what you want to put into it. It could be a piece of music with a piece of artwork, and it could be a one-of-one, which is just one rarity, scarcity item. And that's going to have real value. And the way I equate it to is that, okay, so you've got Spotify, which is all you can eat for $9.99. But whereas what we're doing is you're buying what would back in the day maybe been the signed copy, of which there are only 10 of them. Now, the problem is today is provenance is everything. Authenticity is really important. Through the blockchain, which it's sold on, which is a conduit to your market, you can see authenticity. You can trace the original sale right back to the artist. So provenance is really important. And as you can buy a Banksy at Camden Market for 10 quid, well, you can only buy one, at Christie's for 10 million quid. What Traxx is offering is something alongside a new revenue stream, and to those labels as well that are out there, which they didn't have before. We're now seeing artists releasing their music through NFTs, who are actually taking 80% of the money that they're making, and they're starting to have their own career again, by putting value back into music. And it's allowing, people to become part of the artist community, directly connected with them. And as I say, within an NFT, which is this digital product, you could have rights within it. So you could buy some of the publishing rights, the master rights to the recordings, and start earning money from the sale of their music. Now you're really engaged with your artist. Because imagine if you say, well, I discovered Ed Sheeran when he was literally on the street corner, and I bought a couple of his NFTs and I got the rights to, an element of his songs. Well, now look at where it's at. What I bought for $50 and took a punt, now they're actually worth, well, you can do the maths, whatever it's going to be. So, and people want to feel that I have got more of that deeper connection and intrinsic connection with the artist. And that's what NFTs allow you to do. We
were just talking over a coffee about, if the Rolling Stones were to release an NFT versus the guy who I'd never heard of that you identified.
Yeah.
They make 750K, he makes 11.12 million. Could you explain why that is the case?
So the crypto community is a really tight community. And essentially, when you're selling music, you're trying to sell to the music fan who may not have a crypto wallet or have any understanding of crypto or blockchain, but they're your really important fan. But you've also got this community out there, the crypto community, who are there about trading in crypto, may not care so much about the music or the art, but they want to see investment. They're going to take a punt, because they're reading the signs. And there may be a blurring of the lines there, but let's talk about those two communities. And I think that you need to work the crypto community. You need to be immersed within it. You need to have a narrative with them. If they see you just coming in to try and drop an NFT and you have a cash grab, it's not going to feel right. And we've had this over years, whether it's acid house and techno clubs, and then somebody comes in and tries to make a track that sounds a little bit, you can see through it. It feels fake in a sense, So The community rewards those that actually immerse themselves within the community.
Where is it, in your opinion, is the opportunity for business people, entrepreneurs in this new next generation music industry?
Look, NFTs is just one, part of it, but I think understand the broader revenue streams that you have, whether that's through, the metaverse, whether it's through Web3 or NFTs, as well as understanding the rights in your music and the value in that, and data as well. Now more than ever, really important to recognize all those revenue streams coming in. Music is always evolving and changing and moving. It has its own sort of fashion and shifts, which is always exciting. But the way you engage and connect and the conduit to your market is really shifting and on a daily basis. And so having an awareness of that, or surrounding yourself with people that do understand that, I think is vital today.
And on the Token Traxx project and your own entrepreneurial journey in that specifically, has it been hard to launch a business in such a cutting edge industry with technology that you didn't grow up with? And how did you do that?
I learned fast, and when I first started talking to the team around Token Traxx, who I have to say there's a brilliant team who understand tech, understand blockchain, understand crypto. Now what they didn't have their own ambition. Well, we don't understand the music market, so it's bringing people together, to collaborate and form something that hopefully has this powerhouse. What was important to us was, NFTs over the last 3 years had traditionally been art-based. Music was late to the table, but what was really vital is that we had an even balance of the best in tech and the best in music. And so when I was approached to come in and start this with Tommy and Paul, was to bring on a team of people from the music industry. And we've got a brilliant advisory role, from Grammy-winning producers to managers that have run very successful labels, but we've got the best tech team too. And I find that when the artists are coming in, they want to really connect with the tech and understand that, So for me, I know that's where it's going. This is the shift, as I say, the paradigm shifting is now. Blockchain is going to revolutionize the business. Currently, if your music is played in the bar in Brazil, there's a collection agency in Brazil that then send it to a collection agency in Europe, that then send it to your publisher, that then send it to you. Now, they're all taking a slice. Imagine now that in a bar, it recognizes your song and it pays money directly into your crypto wallet. Now, that's how the industry is shifting. We talked about cutting out middlemen before. I think that's what blockchain's going to do.
Are we there yet?
No, we're a long way off, but we're at the start, but it's exciting. I remember when Spotify, came to the industry. Bearing in mind, we had Napster and LimeWire and Pirate Bay, where you could get all the music you wanted free of charge. And so the industry is like, what are we going to do? We're competing with free. And that's very difficult, to put a business model around that. Well, Spotify came and said, well, we're going to offer them free, but a better customer experience. Yes, you might need to listen to a few ads, but you're going to get it free and everything's going to be on there. And then with that experience, you're going to put them through the funnel to then into the premium where you're going to pay $9.99 a month because you don't want to listen to ads anymore. That was a 10-year journey. It really was. And the uptake on it was very slow at the beginning, Whereas now I think we're at the beginning of hopefully not a 10-year journey, but a 5-year journey. Because I think people are more susceptible to understanding technology and how quickly it's moving now. But I think with Web3, Metaverse, we're still very much at the beginning. People are still trying to get their heads round that, what it means, purchasing items that live in a virtual world that aren't tactile but we're getting there and it's definitely going that way. And any young person today understands this more than anyone. So
is this the end of Spotify and the end of Warner?
No, not at all. Because actually look at something like Warner and Universal and Sony, they're all investing outside now. And I think, they made a decision 10 years ago, 5 years ago, to invest in companies and tech that's on the peripheral of what is their core business. They're all smart enough to understand that those revenue streams, the value of music is depleting. How do we draw revenue in elsewhere? Is it the end of Spotify? No, not at all, because I think for us, Spotify is the shop front window. That's, eat as all as much as you can for $9.99. What we are is bespoke. We're the artisan sort of high-end market. And hopefully over time, as people understand it more, your volume and scale broadens, and then you maybe become the challenger to those DSPs,
So you and I are both not millennials. So what's your experience of basically getting into something that's so hard to understand and so new and so cutting edge? Was that a difficult personal journey? And how did you tackle that?
Really good questions. I've always been looking for new artists, the newest artists, who on average are, mid to late teens, early 20s. And so however old I've got, through the industry, the excitement for me comes from looking at what's new, what's happening, what's cutting edge, and making sure that you do end up going to the club or listening to people or surrounding yourself by young people who you listen to. Listening is everything, but I still get excitement out of hearing and understanding what's cutting edge. I may not understand it completely, but I want to know about it. So actually, with tech, it's that, just in a different way. I mean, as I say, I've been absorbing everything that I've been trying to understand about this space over the last 18 months, and I just find it hugely exciting. So you've got the willingness to understand, willingness to learn. If you want to surround yourself by people that understand the space, it only matters really what age you are. So it wasn't necessarily a challenge, more throw me in at the deep end and let's find out.
And so as someone who's built a career in the music industry, is there any tips you would give to someone about where you would start today versus where you would start yesterday? Has it changed a lot? And is the opportunity still there?
Well, it's changed a lot, but try and build something for yourself, however small it is. Whether you want to be a manager, whether you want to be an artist or an agent, you can build it yourself. You can record music. You can make content that's exciting and interesting. And I think that now more than ever, labels are looking at artists to see what they're doing to try and drive their brand, their music, engage with their audience, because nowadays that's just an intrinsic part of the industry. For me, which really suddenly saw the industry in a different way, was actually starting to work with Gorillaz. Damon Albarn was one of the biggest songwriters, British songwriters of the 90s. All the success he'd had with Blur. He shared a flat with Jamie Hewlett, who had a magazine, Tank Girl, which was some of the best illustrations ever. And they had this idea on the back of a fag packet, pretty much, of we're going to have a virtual band. It's not going to be a real band, it's going to be a virtual band. You've got to remember, this is the year 2000, so they probably had the idea in 99. Really early on in where we were with digital, the internet, everything, it was so basic, we just come out of dial-up, I think. But they had this idea, and it was a concept behind it. And then when you've got one of the greatest British songwriters, one of the greatest animators, illustrators, you just got to run with it. And, as a company, we did. And we were the first into the market to understand virtual and how you can manipulate that. We had all these grand ideas that they were going to go and do a world tour in one night, until we realized the cost of doing that. It was impossible. But it suddenly opened up this new understanding media and understanding what that could do for us. And so when I think about them as these virtual holograms at the Grammys with Madonna walking around these virtual holograms, seeing what we achieved there, that was when it got really exciting about the possibilities, in the industry. But again, it was always led from the artist. And I think, always go back and look at something, even if it wasn't right, at the start. There was one mistake I made in the industry. Somebody way back said, after I just signed the Verve to Virgin, they said, Miles, you'll love this band, they're called Oasis. You go and see them, you'll love them, they're great. So went to see them, and Liam was in the band, all about. No, wasn't in the band. It was fucking appalling. The songs were terrible. They had all the attitude, no songs. And I thought, okay, well, I left. And then friends of mine said, you got to go back and see him again. I said, I saw him 2 months ago. I don't need to go and see him again. What I didn't realise, Noel had joined the band. Said, forget all those songs. You're now going to sing all of these. And it was all the massive hits. Now, the mistake was, I'm not saying they would have signed to us, but, the mistake was didn't go back, dismissed it out of hand and didn't look at it again. So I think dismissing something out of hand is a very easy thing to do. And I think, and it's a dangerous thing to do as well.
Final question, Miles. If you were to meet your younger self in the pub tomorrow and give them a word of wisdom, career advice, nugget based on your entire career, what would you say to them?
Remember, you don't know everything. Listen to the people around you. Understand that the people around you are as talented as you are, and to engage and draw from the people around you. There's no success from just one person. It's always a team. And I think the other thing is enjoy your failures as well. Learn from them. We all have those failures, and just recognize how and why it happened, and don't be afraid to actually, fail again.
Amazing. Well, Miles, thank you very much indeed for sharing all that wisdom and information with us.
Pleasure. Pleasure spending time with you.
Likewise, and good luck with Token Traxx.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah.
Cheers.